We've known that War Thunder has been working on an infantry mode for quite a while, and while a lot of Enlisted's community has been concerned, I waited until we saw proper gameplay to have an opinion on it, and my goodness, it's modern Enlisted. Knowing what makes War Thunder and Enlisted different, where they do have overlapping content such as their vehicles, I figured they wouldn't infringe on Enlisted's identity, but my biggest concern is that War Thunder has the squad control mechanic that makes Enlisted unique. Now, of course, it was mentioned multiple times in the live stream that War Thunder Infantry wouldn't enter the World War II era, but Enlisted doesn't appeal directly to the World War II audience in a meaningful way anyways. Most of the players that wanted an authentic World War II experience have since left when the campaign system was removed, or have strong opinions about things like select fire rifles and prototypes being in tech trees. All of this to say, I'm concerned for the future of Enlisted. One thing that made it unique is now gone, and the game doesn't have a strong identity as a historically accurate shooter. The game caters to enthusiasts of combined arms combat only at this point, of which the main competitors are Battlefield 6, and now of course War Thunder Infantry from the same publisher, Gaijin, which has a far larger player base. With that being said, Enlisted could still survive, but the important thing is that it needs a distinct identity. But what could that identity be with its squad mechanic no longer being unique? Frankly, I believe it needs to start catering more to the World War II historical accuracy enthusiast again by adding more gameplay modes that give a more authentic World War II experience, expanding onto new front lines, tech trees, and gear, and possibly even expanding into more PvE gameplay options. And for context, I appreciate that the game has prototypes. It's cool to see a World War II sandbox that contains them in a far more accurate state than Call of Duty Vanguard. But if the immersion of World War II isn't there, why wouldn't players just hop over to something like Hell Let Loose or War Thunder Infantry, depending on what appeals to the player? But that is what Enlisted's identity should be, the undisputed World War II sandbox game. You can play it like Call of Duty, like Hell Let Loose, War Thunder, Sniper Elite. All of these options should be available at the fingertips of players with little delay. Let's expand on how Enlisted can start opening itself up to this new identity. It needs to expand on its current sandbox potential. The Manchuria campaign was the most immediate and recognizable expansion to the sandbox because it forced the Soviets and Japan to fight more than one other nation. To further expand, separating the USA and UK tree, as well as the Germany and Italy trees, would allow for more diversity of conflicts and more customizable progression. We could also see the addition of full tech trees for France, Finland, the Chinese Alliance, Greece, and Yugoslavia. Once almost every possible historical addition has been entertained, we could start seeing what-if scenarios with additions such as Switzerland and Operation Tannenbaum, the Western Allies versus the Soviet Union in Operation Unthinkable, Britain versus France, Japan versus Germany, the list goes on. What is Enlisted? A World War II sandbox, and you can play with as much sand as you want. The tech tree itself is the sand of the sandbox, and progression would be the glue that combines all potential gameplay additions to Enlisted. While some modes have access to the tree as it currently exists, others would have restrictions, whether it's equipment strength, when an item was in service, or whether it saw action in the first place. This way, the prototype enthusiasts and the history purists both win and can play the way they want. But how should the game expand beyond the squads mode and custom games? First things first, the game needs better incentives to play. The current incentive systems are based around FOMO, or fear of missing out, leaving the player feeling like a prisoner rather than a player of the game. Sure, the daily login rewards, daily missions, 20k XP events, and the loot boxes can stay in the game, but let's give actual carrots on sticks that make players want to play the game, instead of feeling like the game is a second job. The existing daily incentives are your daily login reward and daily missions that are tied to the Battle Pass system. The login rewards aren't very exciting, and the missions create direct pressure to complete the specific challenges imposed on the player, with the opportunity to switch only 3 of those 9 challenges per day. This leaves little flexibility to play how the player wants. In addition to these pressurized systems, let's create a new reward currency, which I'll just call the token. Tokens are earned from a new set of daily tasks. Kill 50 soldiers using infantry, kill 100 soldiers with tanks, kill 100 soldiers with planes, build a rally point near the objective in 3 separate matches, destroy 3 enemy rally points, and destroy 5 vehicles, not including bombers. Each one gives a small amount of these tokens, of which I will discuss the rewards later. In addition, Enlisted should add a weekly playlist game mode in which every week a curated campaign between 2 different teams is available to all players. This playlist doesn't reward tech tree progression, but instead also rewards tokens that I mentioned for the daily tasks. I think at least the next 2 following options should exist here: an even fight playlist and a historical battle playlist. The even fight playlist is simple. Every week, 2 random nations fight each other on the same map with a collection of mission types, at a set battle rating with pre-made loadouts. Maybe one week it's Soviets versus USA on Stalingrad at BR4, the next it's Germany versus Italy in Gavutu Airport at BR1. Either way, you can just hop in and play and earn tokens and silver. These earnings, of course, are increased with premium time. The historical battle playlist takes a single campaign from the old campaign system and rotates them individually. This brings the return of the campaign system, albeit as a condensed version of its former self. Presets of squads with historical layouts would be available for all players. So what are these tokens? Essentially, they would give players access to purchase X gold ore weapons, nation-specific loot boxes, unique cosmetics, and more. They could even add a talisman from War Thunder that you can apply to an unlocked squad to increase its earnings by 50%, which is half the increase compared to premium squads. And while you can't purchase tokens, the financial incentive comes from purchasing premium time to increase your earnings in the weekly playlist or daily tasks. You earn these rewards by playing the game. What kind of rewards would you like to see in this token system? I'd love to hear it in the comments. But what about the tech tree? What should you be able to earn when it's fully maxed out? You can convert free XP to silver for when the loot box is returned, but why not use 250,000 XP to earn a random new squad? This makes it so veteran players can fill out their presets for different battle ratings, and premium time allows you to earn these faster. Yet again, another incentive system for just playing the game. Now, with these incentives, premium squads lose some of their value, and with that, they definitely should become cheaper to purchase, maybe about by 30%. However, I believe prioritizing monetization around cosmetics, in addition to these systems that directly incentivize premium time for progression, would reduce any opportunity for pay to win to exist in the game. And a World War II game certainly can have plenty of cosmetics. Weapon and vehicle skins can be inspired by historical photos, new name decorators, profile images, decorators for vehicles, as well as weapons too, like charms and items wrapped around the barrel. The tech tree should also be heavily streamlined, with almost every variant of the same weapon being foldered. A general rule should be the following: all weapons of the same type within a tree should be side grades. The first weapons to unlock are the easiest to use, while later and foldered weapons of the same BR have a higher skill ceiling, such as a higher rate of fire but more recoil. With this in mind, it should be relatively fast to reach BR5, but unlocking the entire tree should take a while. Since BR1 and BR5 have the same reward multiplier, and there would be new incentive systems in place to retain players, why not make top tier more accessible? Speaking of battle ratings, how can we make BR4 better? I think the following should happen. For the existing squads mode, bring in much stronger semi-automatic options at BR4, primarily with 20 round magazines, 16.8 damage, and great handling to even out the disparity between BR3 and BR5. Next, since BR5 is the ceiling, give BR4 an increased 50% silver and credit earnings to increase the population. BR5 has the strongest equipment, but players wanting a challenge can stick with BR4 and get rewarded for doing so. Enlisted should also consider creating more evergreen PvE content. A PvE campaign similar to other games, more zombies game modes, wave defense. So long as the game is attractive to new players and retains old ones, I can only see this benefiting the game's new identity as the premier World War II Sandbox video game. We should also see increased modding support for the game, and possibly even a streamlined creative mode akin to Halo's Forge mode within the limits of the existing game engine. Now, what's the final suggestion I would make? Make body armor cosmetic only? I mean, I've said it enough times, others have too, people know it's important. However, let's create XP incentives based on where you land on the leaderboard at the end of the match, regardless of a win or loss. While a win condition would only give a 25% increase to XP and silver compared to the existing 50, players between 1st and 8th on the leaderboards of each team can get between 10% and 25% on their earnings as well. This means that you're still incentivized to play the objective and win your battles, but also to play the game well and earn a high score. So long as the scoring system is tuned well, players in losing conditions will still be rewarded for playing the game out, resulting in an incentive system for deserting rather than a 20% XP punishment. We would see far more players play matches out instead of deserting. You would get rewarded for playing well even in a loss, and players would start asking, how can I impact the game more? War Thunder Infantry does seem like a threat to Enlisted and its future, but it's not perfect. However, now is a pivotal time to ask why should players stay in Enlisted, and making sure the games can coincide and thrive together. Expect some future videos expanding on these ideas. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications of future videos. Let me know what you think of these ideas. I look forward to reading them in the comments. Until next time.